Again, let's continue our rolling coverage, of course, here on eNCA DSTV channel 403 of the local government elections. The polls expected to close at 9 p.m. tonight. There's still some time for you to get there to vote if you haven't done so far. And so far, it looks like things have been moving very smoothly. I've got elections analyst with me. That's Wayne Sussman. And also we have Stuart Mbanye. He's not in the studio. Stuart is a Good Governance Africa researcher. He's joining us via Zoom. Stuart, good afternoon. Welcome. Wayne in the studio. Good afternoon. Welcome. Well, we are more than halfway of the day of voting in our country. 9 o'clock tonight is not far away. Stuart, let me start with you. Your sense, just firstly, overriding sense of how the election has been going so far.
I think good afternoon, Dan, and good afternoon to Wayne and the viewers. It's quite a smooth sailing process, I would say. Besides one or two pockets of incidences that have occurred, but then 99% of voting stations open in time. And given the South African landscape, there's obviously 4 to 5 protests that take place on a daily basis. So those were also to be expected. I'm quite keen to see the results of the voter turnout as soon as they become consistently available. But quite a smooth process.
Yeah, they're going to start counting, obviously. Historically, from what we know, Stuart, and when they start counting after the polling stations close, 9 p.m. tonight, we'd expect the smaller ones, the villages and the towns, to get going first. As the day goes on tomorrow, we'll be expecting to know more and more. And by tomorrow evening, the picture might be different. Your sense, Wayne, so far, more than halfway, 9 p.m., not far away. How has it been?
Thank you, Dan. It's really hard to say, but the one thing I'm getting is that turnout might be lower than it was in 2016. Remember, turnout was highest ever in 2016 at 58%. I don't think, sadly, we're going to reach that mark today, but you never know. People might be coming home from visiting their families. People might be coming home for the long weekend. So let's hope the political parties and civil society does that last push and South Africans get to the polls and choose who they want to lead their municipalities for the next 5 years.
So even that 3.5 million voters who had cast their ballots by 12:30, according to the IEC statement earlier, shows that it was not good enough, the numbers.
Yeah. Look, I'm getting pockets of information from across the country, and there are some alarming figures coming out about low voter turnout. We know weather is a factor. For instance, in the city of Cape Town, it's not just rain, it's a biblical downpour, is what I'm understanding. So that's going to impact voter participation.
Yeah, earlier I was crossing to Aisha Ismail outside a polling station in Kensington in Cape Town. She said if we had crossed 5 minutes earlier, we would not have been able to have a crossing because there was a dead downpour at that point. So you think weather in a place today like Western Cape will be a factor?
100%. So we might need weather analysts more than political analysts in some part of the country, because if this rain continues, it's unprecedented to have such heavy rain. What this means is that in a place like Cape Town, which is a place where the DA and the ACDP and Good are relying heavily, it doesn't count for much. We don't care. National percentages aren't important here, but it is a figure we refer to. Everyone refers to the ANC getting 54% in 2016 and the DA getting 27%. So if voter turnout in Cape Town is impacted, and then parties like the DA, parties like the ACDP, parties like Good are going to struggle on that national basis. It doesn't impact how they'll do in the municipalities if they're able to get their supporters out, but weather can be a factor, as we've seen in Guyana and Limpopo as well.
Yeah. Stuart, what other factors could affect voter turnout? Because from your analysis, the likes of yourselves and others and Wayne, leading up to this, people were saying the voter turnout is going to be key in terms of the outcomes of this election.
Absolutely. I think voter turnout is going to be pivotal, but then this is an unprecedented elections by many accounts. You've got the COVID question, which might breed a sense of anxiety in as far as some sections of the population, but also right now there's a lot of other things that are going on as well, and the fact that the election was proclaimed so late into the game, that might also count as an issue. So those are some dynamics, and the fact that it's also held on a Monday, which some sections of society deem it as claim a holiday instead of a day to exercise the civic duty. So those are, according to my book, some calculations that sort of inform the maybe declining levels of voter turnout. But then apathy has sort of been a defining characteristics in elections across the globe. And I think South Africa is not an exception. So this was to be expected.
Yeah, I heard somebody else earlier talking to my colleague, Lindsay Tenting. I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. He said it's not voter apathy anymore, it's voter alienation. And that's what's been happening. So call it whatever is going to become a factor, Stuart. But if you think about the Monday issue that has been raised, I'm just thinking about it now. It's a long weekend. We South Africans will love long weekends. And when people realize Monday is a long weekend, people said, well, I'm going to go to the beach, I'm going to go to the bush, I'm going to visit my grandma, my grandpa, then I'll drive back on a Monday, and then if I have time, I will vote. Could we look back at that decision to make this poll, local government elections on a Monday, look back at the IEC and say it was a big mistake, Wayne?
Yeah, I think a Monday really wasn't a good idea. Historically, all elections, bar one, I think in 2000, which was on a Tuesday, all our elections, and the overwhelming amount of by-elections are on a Wednesday. Why is it on a Wednesday? It's the middle of the week. It's clear that it works. So I think that, in retrospect, I said it from the get-go, that the election should have been called on the Wednesday, possibly a Thursday, because for all the issues you've just raised, we want as many South Africans to participate. We want this election to have a credibility. We want the councillors and mayors who are going to be elected tonight to have the credibility and the vote of faith from the public. And if turnout is low, then it raises some questions.
Yeah, Stuart, COVID-19 should not have stopped the election, but could we have prepared differently, better? I know that I've seen even on Twitter, on the timeline by the IEC's timeline saying you will not be allowed if you're not wearing a mask. There will be sanitizers. If you can, bring your pen as well. I mean, it should not have been allowed to become, but it is a reality is here. How big a factor do you think is likely to be, Stuart, on the outcome?
I think, given the trends in elections globally, I mean, we obviously would like to have a free and fair and obviously safe process. So I think by some indications that it's likely to be a significant factor. But then, given the realities, the IEC is a pivotal and sort of strong institution. So I think they did their utmost best to, in terms of voter education, in terms of adherence to health protocols and stuff like that. There was a lot of work that was done in that regard. So the onus is ultimately on the people in turning up, because this is a defining election. I mean, it's close to home, as many people have said. So people must turn out, but then safely so. But I think to a great extent, the COVID question hovers around the elections as in any point in time.
And let alone the security concerns in KwaZulu-Natal and some of the hotspots, but police and the soldiers are there. Gentlemen, I've got two more reporters to get to before 5 o'clock. And if it's going for 5 o'clock now, it means we're going to go about 4 hours to go before the polling stations are closed. Stuart, thank you very much. And Wayne, thank you very much. But don't move yet, Wayne, here.